And also, when I reviewed your interview with the parole officer, it appeared to me that you minimized it a little bit. And in your offense explanation, you said that, they asked you to drive, you didn't want to drive, and that you were trying to pass a car and hit it. But really, it should have been, I was driving under the influence and I created the situation where someone died, someone else was injured. Do you understand the difference, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe that's how I look at it now. I don't know, my statement back then was probably very different than how I feel now.
I don't think it was that long ago. When was the interview? Yeah, it was less than a month ago. I mean, after doing years.
Oh,
We are about to watch the full parole hearing for a woman who, in her second DUI accident, ended up taking a life and seriously injuring others. The reason that she's in street clothes is that she's in a halfway house. Let's go watch the full hearing, and then at the end of it, we will unpack. Let's go.
okay. Victoria Berube, 404-773.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Victoria Berube, inmate number 404-773. She is serving a sentence of 16 years, suspended after 7 years with 5 years probation, for manslaughter second for the motor vehicle, assault second for the motor vehicle, operating under the influence second offense. As of today, records reflecting parole eligibility date February 13th, 2024. There is a victim input in the case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that she has completed the following programs: Beyond Violence, Good Intentions, Bad Choices, the Worth program, only a partial completion due to her release to a halfway house, Voices, Tier 2, Anger Management, Parenting, and the Business Education program. Utilizing the Women's Risk Needs Assessment, the offender's overall score for recidivity falls within the low range. Ms. Berube, this is your chance to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time. I first would like to start off by saying how extremely sorry that my careless decisions, like all the pain that it's caused everyone, and I can't take it back, but I have been trying to improve myself and give back to others in order to help people, because I don't want this to happen to anybody. I wouldn't wish this upon anybody. I believe that I put in a lot of work on myself throughout my incarceration. I've continued my education. I became the first female mentee to become a mentor in the Worth unit. I trained service dogs. I taught girls how to crochet and donated the goods to people that needed it. I've just been trying to get back to the community as much as I can. And since I've been in the community, I've had a job for the past 8 months. I'm an intern at a nonprofit who I actually got connected with in prison. So they still help out in there. And I attended Capital Community College to get my last credit. So hopefully I can graduate my associates in May. And I have plans for the future. I'd like to continue my relationship with my daughter. She's with my family right now. So I'd like to get, my own place and be a mother to her. And I would like to go to Central next semester to continue my education. I'd like to get my master's. So I just appreciate your time for hearing me, and thank you so much.
Thank you for your statement, Ms. Berube. We do have questions for you. When we're done with our questioning, we'll turn the hearing over to the Office of Victim Services for input.
Okay.
Then we'll deliberate on the record. You can listen and give your decision here today.
Okay, thank you.
We'll begin with my colleague, Mr. Paul.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Ms. Berube. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing okay. Wanted to cover a few things with you. You don't have an extensive criminal history, but there is an operating under the influence back there, and then this manslaughter second with a motor vehicle while intoxicated, which is it's a major thing in the description of how this happened. I understand that it was accidental. However, we're responsible for what we do, right?
Right.
So, and I appreciate that you turned that to understanding what you've done and how you've affected other people. And the place that I wanted to really talk about something here that I'm trying to figure out is when it comes to yourself and your use. There's been a few misconducts in write-ups when it comes to marijuana.
Mhm.
And before we go too far in, just understand that this is being broadcast. So I understand you have a card for a reason,
Mhm.
but can you talk to me a little bit about use and how that doesn't wind up causing another situation in a vehicle?
Yeah, so I definitely have my issue before obviously was drinking and not having any control over myself, which was affecting people around me, and I didn't understand that at the time. Now I understand how much my actions really affect other people. I have my medicinal card for anxiety, and I do have a lot of like metal in my body, so the CBD does help. I don't have like my issue was with drinking. So I am not going to drink because I don't have any control when I drink, and I know that now. With marijuana, the card, it's different because I take minimal amounts, and it's only like I don't do that every day. It's mainly like one day a week. I don't have, yeah.
So one of the things that kind of raises for me a little bit is you met with Dr. Walker from the board, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that she had talked to you about was, is it that you only have symptoms that need to be dealt with one day a week?
No, yeah, we had talked about that. Just because she was worried about when I get into the community, how I'm gonna act with with having the card. Um, I, I honestly, I know I'm in a halfway house, but if I wanted to, I could go out, and smoke every day. But I don't do that because I have a responsibility to myself, my daughter. I'm trying to do better. I have the medicinal use, and that's it. Like I'm not about the recreation stuff. I don't live that lifestyle anymore.
Okay. So along the same lines, let's talk a little bit about you had taken tier 2.
Yeah.
And you talked about how that you have a problem with alcohol. What is it that you took from tier 2 that helps you with where you are right now?
It kind of it opened my eyes. You know, it kind of taught me how you like not to give in to peer pressure, and like the people you do surround yourself with are gonna affect you, whether you're strong and you think that they're not, but like peer pressure is real, and the people you surround yourself with will make a difference in your life. So I've definitely learned that.
So did it talk about how you take that peer pressure to not necessarily do the right thing? Did it talk to you about what to replace that with?
Yeah, we talked about like healthy coping mechanisms, and like I could see the things that I used to do, like hobbies that I kind of got lost because I'd be out partying. Like I have horses, like I'd like to get my interest back instead of being mainly back then my interests were partying. I'm not gonna lie. So I've definitely had a lot of time to grow up and think about that lifestyle and how much it took from me.
And that's important because, right, it took a lot from you, and in this case here, it took a lot from others as well, right?
Right.
So you have any kind of support system in the community?
I do. since I've been out, I've been going to a, it's like a support group for people that have been incarcerated. It's called SCRIP, it's Second Chance Reentry Program. And I did their program called Ascend, where they focus on trauma and basically like how to navigate your life and get a career and keep going in the right direction. So every Wednesday I would go to, like, I would see all of them. They support me. The people that work in the halfway house support me, and I have my family at home as well. My aunt and uncle have my daughter, and my grandma's a huge support.
So a couple of things that I also wanted to comment on. So the Worth program, we as a board had the opportunity to go and visit the Worth program and see the wonderful things that happen there and
Mhm.
how incarcerated people are helping incarcerated people become, you know, all they can be, right?
Yeah,
So you had the good fortune to finish that program and then become the first inmate that went through the program to become a mentor? Is that what I?
yeah. It's the only female unit in the United States right now. So there's a men's unit, the True unit. They've had a mentee become a mentor, but I'm the first female to do it.
Okay. And how did that feel?
It felt amazing, to know that, I put in all that hard work and I can be there for support for other girls that needed it. It's for girls 18 to 25. This incident happened when I was 22, so I feel like I can have a lot of persuasion over like how they are going to re-enter the community by sharing like my experience with them.
How many women did you work with?
At the time, I believe it was like 15. There's 5 mentors, and then I think because COVID, our numbers were low, so there was like 15 to 20 mentees.
Okay, so you directly worked with like 5 people?
Yeah, we're like a team.
Yeah. So that's a good thing. You said that you also had experience with the vet dog program?
Yep. So we did, we had an outside volunteer come in and he would train us on how to train the service dogs. So I was assigned a dog and I had the dog all day, every day. We would do training sessions and the goal was to get them ready for a veteran so they can help make someone's life better.
And how long did you spend with that?
I believe it was 3 years I did that. And I have been in touch with them since I've been out because I'd like to continue doing that because I believe it's a great cause. I haven't heard anything yet, but would like to continue doing that.
It's really an honorable thing when, it's like we all become attached to our animals and when
It's so hard to say bye to them.
yep, when we do it, you create a situation where you're training an animal to go help somebody that can't do something for themselves.
Mhm.
To be that bridge for that person. So good on you on that. You said right now you're an intern for a nonprofit.
Yep.
What nonprofit is it?
So it was formerly called Judy Dworin Performance Project. Now it is the Justice Dance Performance Project. And they have a program in a few of the men's prisons and the women's prison. That's how I became involved in their mom and kids program.
Okay, so that gave you the opportunity to interact with your child.
Yes.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, they definitely helped our relationship a lot. I have pictures with her that otherwise I would never have had.
So there's that's a really good thing.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for them.
So there's a number of things that you're doing here that are positive types of things that you're growing up. You know, that's what I'm seeing here. You know, another piece of this is getting ready for tomorrow, right? So you're about a couple of months away from an associate's from Capital.
Yes,
What's the associate's in?
liberal arts.
And you want to go to Central
Yes.
for what program?
See, I really have to look into the majors, but I'd like to continue my work in justice reform. I got a job offer from Vera, the people that have funded the Worth unit. So I'm waiting to hear back from them. So I really am interested in continuing this line. So I don't know if they have a major in criminal justice or if I have a minor in it, but I definitely would like to continue in this field of work and help people.
And then of course you have already said that you wanted to go on and get a graduate degree as well. So
Yeah,
there's
those
something
are my
about
goals, but they're not, I don't know exactly like the fine details, like
Sure.
what I'm gonna major in and stuff, but I
That's good.
definitely, yeah,
that associate's degree gets us in a place where we consider a lot of different ways to go, right?
yeah, it's got my
So-
foot in the door, basically.
Trying to find your passion,
Yeah.
you know, and to some extent you already have,
Mhm.
right? Work is good. I read where you are with Duncan, and I'm glad that you are doing incredibly well there and have the opportunity to actually advance.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for them.
And just to understand real quick, I know that we're going to hear from the man who lost his life in this accident. I know we're going to hear from his family. What is your relationship like, or have you talked to the other person who was injured in this accident? Have you talked to them at all since
No,
the?
I was always advised not to talk to them by my lawyer, so I never formally got to apologize or anything.
Right, and that's the situation. It's when you're in DOC, you can't talk to you know, people who are victims
Right.
and their families. You know, so that's often, you know, a situation where you said today you would want to apologize, but you haven't had the opportunity. But there are
Right.
times when we talk to people who have somehow been able to reestablish and have some kind of contact to be able to do that. But I know that in this situation and others, it's very difficult to do that.
Yeah.
And you know, you've done a lot of work, and I appreciate you talking with me this morning. And you know, other board members have some questions as well. So thank you for the opportunity to talk with you this morning.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Good morning, Ms. Berube.
Good morning.
I want to echo my colleague's concern about your previous driving under the influence conviction. This is your second conviction, and actually your second accident with with a conviction for driving under the influence. So that is concerning. Other than that, you had a couple other convictions when you were younger. We have about a 3-month difference, right? Before the end of your sentence, and then you'll begin 5 years of probation. How and when would you get your license back?
As of right now, the DMV has permanently revoked it, so that's not possible at the moment.
Okay, so where do you plan to live upon release?
I was originally going to live with my aunt and uncle, but because of the license and not having transportation, I would like to get my own apartment in Hartford. That way I can rely on the bus system.
Is that how you've been getting to work?
Yeah.
You take the bus?
Yeah,
Okay.
every day.
Okay, good. That's a good skill. I do want to talk about your substance use. Do you feel that at the time you committed these offenses, you had a problem?
At the time, I didn't think so, but looking back, I clearly did.
Okay.
I had no control.
Are you an alcoholic?
I believe so. I have an issue with drinking. Once I start, can't stop. So
You have had misconduct report for having marijuana in the halfway house. Are you allowed to use marijuana while you're at the halfway house?
yes, you're not allowed to have it though at the house. So I accidentally brought it back with me.
So you're supposed to go out, get it, use it, and then go back to the halfway house without it?
Well, I mean, you can, they don't, it's not considered like a negative urine or a dirty urine.
Mhm. Okay, but you're not allowed to bring it back to
Right.
the halfway house, and you had it in your room.
Yeah.
You claim that was accidental?
Yeah, because I forgot I had it in my stuff.
Where did you think it was?
I thought I left it at work, honestly.
I'm a little concerned, to be honest, about the whole marijuana issue, because you, at the time that you were abusing alcohol, you were using marijuana, right? And cocaine.
Yeah. Well, the cocaine was the night before and marijuana stays in your system. So I wasn't smoking at the time.
But you were using cocaine the night before.
Yeah. Because I was out the night before too.
So what kind of relapse prevention are you doing now?
I have a clinician therapist that I speak to. So I was seeing her weekly. Now I see her once a month.
Is that it? Are you involved in
Yeah.
any other programming now?
I just graduated from the Ascend program. And I still go to that group once a week, every Wednesday night for support.
So I'm referring specifically to substance abuse related support groups. Do you have, a coach or anything like that?
Well, I go to CRT.
Mhm.
It's behavior health clinic.
Yeah.
And
know what it
they
is.
have that's where my clinician is that I speak with. That
Mhm.
she helps with the substance abuse issues.
Yeah. My concern has been and remains that you're not taking your substance abuse seriously enough. And also, when I reviewed your interview with the parole officer, it appeared to me that you minimized it a little bit. And in your offense explanation, you said that they asked you to drive, you didn't want to drive, and that you were trying to pass a car and hit it. But really, it should have been, I was driving under the influence, and I created the situation where someone died, someone else was injured. Do you understand the difference, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe that's how I look at it now. I don't know, my statement back then was probably very different than how I feel now.
I don't think it was that long ago. When was the interview? Oh, yeah, it was less than a month ago. I mean, after doing years.
Oh, I
of
thought you meant the
programming.
statement when I first got in the accident.
Oh, no. I'm referring to your statement to the parole officer. Our job really is just to make sure that you're ready to go back out into the community, and well, ready or not, you're going in a few months, but we want to make you aware of concerns that we have for the public.
Yeah,
And we want
understand.
you to keep working on yourself, of course. I'm happy to see that you participated in every program available to you and then some. You certainly have done a lot of work on yourself, and we appreciate that. You also stated in your interview that you thought probation would have too many restrictions for you. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Well, those words didn't come out of my mouth. I didn't say that I would have too many restrictions, but I do know that I have a lot of stipulations that are gonna affect, you know, the way like work and stuff. I have to, I'm supposed to do inpatient for 90 days, I think, if they deem it. And I'm supposed to be on a year of house arrest, but it doesn't say that I can leave for employment purposes. So it's just stuff like that that like I need to figure out.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's understandable, and I guess you won't have those answers until you see probation officer, but of course you'll have restrictions. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they really are meant not only to help you, but to protect the public while you're transitioning. You know, you came in young,
Yeah.
very young, and you were a young mom as well. So it will be an adjustment, and you should certainly take advantage of any assistance that you can get. Okay. Thank you for speaking with me. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Ms. Chance now.
Thank you.
So Ms. Berube, I really applaud you for doing all those self-care activities. And my area of concern is what you have done to address your actual substance abuse of alcohol and marijuana. And I read through everything. One of the questions that I had is what the chair already asked you. One of my questions is, how do you intend to remain sober from alcohol and cocaine and marijuana, which brought you where you are? And I didn't hear that you took care of everything else but that part of it.
So, I mean, I don't want to drink. I don't know, I can tell you guys that till I'm blue in the face, but I've proven it. I haven't tested positive for alcohol once since I've been in the community. I've definitely had temptations, but I don't give in to them. I'm a different person, I'm stronger, and I want my life back.
So, there are urges and cravings, and how do you deal with those? I know you go to CRT and you say they help with substance abuse, but I wanted to hear something more specific. I'm gonna attend NARA meetings, I'm gonna get a sponsor, I'm gonna redo the 12 steps, something, because urges and cravings take you when you least expect it. And if you're not prepared, then that's when, things happen. So I didn't hear your area of focus there. And, you said at one time you were partying a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so what did you replace, or what have you replaced the partying with?
I've picked up new like hobbies. I learned how to garden. I didn't know anything about that before. Now I enjoy doing it. I crochet now. I enjoy reading. I'd like to start writing more.
Okay. And I read in the transcript, you're gonna have, a lot of restrictions in terms of things that you do. I'm surprised that you don't know what they are, because they were all, laid out in the trial transcript. And I know you did indicate that DMV has suspended your license, indefinitely, but I know eventually you will get it back. but I do know that you cannot operate a motor vehicle for a number of years. And then you have community service that you have to do. And I didn't hear you talk about that. So can you tell me where you're gonna do your community service?
I haven't thought of where I would do it yet. I know I'd have to do 100 hours. I believe every year I'm on probation, but I have done community service before, like at Salvation Army, and I'm sure there's plenty of places like soup kitchens and shelters in Hartford I could volunteer at.
Okay, you know, I'm asking you so that you can think of those things so that
Right.
when you do go on probation, that you will have a plan and know what it is that you have to do. Okay, so I wish you the best of luck and thank you for answering my question.
Thank you.
Yes,
Right.
Sure.
I just had a couple other questions real quick. So, if you're voted to parole today, the effective date, it takes a while to straighten things out, would be today. And I noticed in the notes that parole officers and staff keep that you've been saving money and such. And, you know, you want to stay there in the Hartford area, which would rely on you staying there yourself. Do you have a plan if you voted today so that it doesn't interrupt school and your graduation in May and things like that? You have a plan.
Yeah, I've been having, my boss's wife's actually a realtor, and she's been emailing me all these apartments that are available locally. So I have places, I just haven't done anything about it because I can't really afford to pay for a place if I don't know if I'm gonna live in it.
But you
until
have
May,
enough,
so.
you have enough to start and you're working as well, so you're able to afford a place.
Right, and I'm hoping I'll get a promotion at work, and I did get a job offer, so I'm hoping to be working 2 jobs.
Okay. That's, I just wanted to follow.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Okay, at this time, we'll turn the hearing over to the Office of Victim Services. Ms. Vasquez, thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, board members. I do have one of the victims' family who has joined us today, and they would like to address all of you. This is your opportunity to unmute yourself, and you may be able to begin and address the board members.
Hello,
Hi.
this is, I don't know if Ms. Vasquez was referring to me. I'm Romeo St. Pierre.
Yes.
Okay, I was listening to the staff, the board, and I really touched base with Mrs. Chance's words that she had with Victoria Berube, and that concerns me too. Also, her use of the marijuana and the fact that she had brought it in the place where she was staying. That's illegal, and to me, you know, I don't buy into the fact that she didn't know. You know, when you have something like that in your purse and you're out there, you know, working a job and so forth, and you're carrying your stuff around, you got to be careful what you're doing, and you got to know what you're doing. And I believe that that was just something she knew she had. And first of all, I'd like to say that this is very difficult for me to even try to prepare a statement for the board. I don't know, do you people hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, for the board, to this day, I still suffer from panic and anxiety attacks and PTSD because of Ben's death. It was a very intense feeling. It was tragic and traumatic. I still carry a feeling of helplessness today. There was nothing I could do to bring Ben back that horrible morning of June 26, 2017 at 2:30 in the morning when 2 police officers came to my home and informed me of Ben's death. And what really impacted me severely was it left me at a place where I felt helpless because I was always there to help my kids out. And this was one situation I couldn't do nothing. And getting into the core of this hearing is to remind Victoria that her reckless behavior has happened before and more than once. I feel that if there was more leniency given to her prior offenses, we might not be here today deciding to grant her parole or probation or whatever she's seeking. And my son Ben could still be living with us today. I wonder what could be going on through the minds of the board who decided to go easy on Victoria at the beginning of her reckless behavior. I know this board hearing is not your first big one, and I hope you have the wisdom and knowledge to see through Victoria's pattern of life. I see her as a very manipulating, calculating, and persuasive individual. Prison time is adjustable. People can learn to live in this environment and are able to move on without remorse. I'm saying this, I think people have reached out to me, informing me of this day, and people that even Victoria has known has reached out to me and sent me photos of her on Halloween, October 2017, dressed up, no remorse, partying, and then just recently she was dressed up in a similar way at her job for Halloween and pretending to make a toast as though this is for how the big boys take a shot in the face, was a statement that she had made. Of course, it was probably a shot of espresso, but it was a gesture being made as though it was alcohol she was toasting. And this was just recently, this past Halloween. And to me, this is citable that she is really preparing to probably fall back into a mild party life, which could lead her into trouble again. The police investigators even use the social media to determine cases and investigate cases and so forth. But again, I'm just looking back at my notes of what was said here. There are programs available, and these programs that she's involved in now, she's still, even though this is denied today, she's going to still be able to continue these programs. And I'm very familiar with the programs that are offered to inmates, and I know how these programs can be continued, and housings, how they can maintain their housing and so forth. The marijuana thing really bothers me. The stuff that's out there today is very, very powerful, and I'm just afraid that if she gets involved in this marijuana again in a heavy habit, that it could affect her judgment, and who knows, we can be back at this again. And I hate to see this happen to somebody else. And this is an opportunity for the board to fix what happened in the past. And I strongly suggest that, like I said, she's a very manipulating and calculating and persuasive individual. I know this. And I know this is not your first big one, as I said. And you've seen these cases before. And I hope that, again, that you have the wisdom to see through some stuff here. And I'm asking that the board deny any request that she's asking, and that with this denial, that she takes this and continues what she's doing, I feel what she's doing is the right thing. And I just don't think it's long enough. I think she needs a little more time to think about what she did. And the use of the marijuana and the fact that she has to go out of her way to go get it and keep it with her and hide it from work and hide it from her places, to me, that's just, I'm not comfortable with that. And I don't know if the board is. I know how powerful this stuff is today, and I just feel it can lead to other things. With that, I'm going to close, and I hope that you consider denying her request. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your statement, for coming today. At this time, we are going to enter into deliberation. You can listen to us. Please don't interrupt, and we'll get back to you shortly with our decision.
Okay.
Mr. Cole, we'll
Thank
begin
you.
with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I want to address the one issue, and then I want to get into exactly where I am. And that is the whole marijuana use piece here. The legislature and the medical community use marijuana to treat certain conditions. They issue medical marijuana cards for a reason. Ms. Berube is under the care of CRT and others that have monitored this whole thing along the way. As a person in recovery, I can have a certain bias against somebody who continues to use some kind of substance. I need to remove myself in this particular case because there's a medical reason why, and there's a prescriber that she's under the care of when dealing with this. I really, the way that the father of the person who lost their life in this case shared, I feel for somebody who loses somebody in any situation. There isn't bringing somebody back in this case.
Mm-hmm.
But the Ms. Berube, having marijuana when she came back into the house, could that have been done accidentally? Yes, because she didn't leave it at work where she wouldn't have gotten written up for it. Because it is legal in the state, right? But it's not just legal in this state where we have a medical reason that we're dealing with, right? So now I want to really take a look at where Ms. Berube has come from, okay? She has spent the last 7 years, close to it, incarcerated. She's engaged in programs that are solid programs. She was a participant in the Worth Unit, which the Worth Unit, when it comes to recovery is about learning how to live life, right? Learning how to take the resources that we have and learning how to live life in a positive kind of way. And Ms. Berube not only completed the unit, completed the program, but then she rose to the level of being a mentor in that unit. And she worked with others to try to help better themselves. That's really important. That's a telling thing, because when somebody commits an offense like this, the only way to make up or even to try to make up for it is by giving to others. And that's what was accomplished in the Worth Unit. She not only did that, but she did the vet dog program. Two really big things for me, because you're training an animal that you become attached to give to a veteran who needs assistance to do something, right? So doing that is incredibly important. One of the things that really rose to the top for me is that, we're talking about, marijuana use being a concern, But Ms. Berube is about to get her associate's degree from Capital Community College in May. And not only that, but has a plan to go on to Central for a higher education degree. And also, wants to get involved in, not wants to, but has been involved in an internship program with a nonprofit. She really wants to reestablish her relationship with her daughter and is involved in a number of support groups in the community. All of that being said, there isn't a case here where Ms. Berube was written up for alcohol use. I just looked for, she's been in the halfway house for a long period of time at this point. There isn't a write-up for alcohol use. There isn't a write-up for cocaine use. There isn't a write-up for using marijuana that's laced with something else. She has a condition and she uses that to deal with that condition. And DOC, in its understanding, does not write a ticket for using in that particular case. In the state of Connecticut legislature, not only for medical use, but also has decriminalized this substance. So as a person in recovery, I need to remove myself from that kind of assertion on that. With that being said, Ms. Berube has a plan. She has been saving to go back into the community. She has not just been talking about what she's going to do, she has actually put into concrete steps what she's doing to better herself and to reintegrate into the community and become a productive member of the community and a productive mother in the community. So for those reasons, I would support parole, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'm just reviewing her file again because I did note 2 incident reports the past couple of months from the halfway house. One for positive urine for marijuana and benzos, another one for not taking prescribed medications as prescribed. We didn't address those, but certainly they were of note in our record. Okay, so there's no doubt, first of all, thank you to the victim's father for coming here today. I understand it must be very difficult for you, and horrible tragedy that you lost your son so young. Ms. Berube has no doubt taken advantage of all of the programming while incarcerated, has educated herself, has mentored, has worked, and we certainly like to see when people come in and take advantage of all the opportunities offered to change their life. I started out with concerns about this being the second DUI that involved a motor vehicle accident. And as the victim's father said, maybe if we took, not being me, but maybe if the state as a whole took the first conviction more seriously, then we wouldn't be here today. Also concerned that there's rule violations within the halfway house. She's still part of the Department of Corrections. And more importantly, I'm not sure she takes full responsibility. It really did trouble me when I read the parole interview, and she said, she pretty much had to drive it. She didn't feel like she had a choice because the victims asked her to drive, and that she was just trying to pass a car when she hit it. And when we know that's not the case, she was under the influence of drugs and alcohol. I'm happy to see that she's moving on with her life. She has a good relationship with her child. But the reality is there is a loss of life here, and it is because of substances. And I'm not sure that she takes her recovery as seriously as she should. The impact to the victim and the victim's family is right here. And for those reasons, I would vote to deny parole today and let Ms. Berube finish the 3 months out and start her 5 years of probation, not taking away all of the hard work that she's done during her incarceration. Ms. Chance.
So, Madam Chair, kind of where you're at, because I thought she took number one in of responsibility. I didn't hear her say much about how she was gonna maintain her sobriety in terms of alcohol and the 2 halfway house violations. So I won't repeat any of what you said because I had some of that notes. So for me today, it would be denied. And I had the nature and injured impact victim and victim's family.
Thank you, Ms. Chance. Okay, in the matter of Victoria Berube, MA number 404773, I'll make a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: the nature and circumstance of your offenses and the injury and impact to the victim and the victim's family. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
This is a majority decision with Mr. Pohl on the minority. We wish you the best, Ms. Berube. Keep working and saving and doing your treatment and programming, and we want you to go out there and be successful and reunite with your child. Thank you,
Thank
everyone,
you.
for your participation.
This concludes the hearing for Victoria Berube, 4047.
It is just so bizarre, but it seems that there's something that these drivers who kill other people while driving and get locked up all have in common. And I don't know how that is possible. But they come to their parole hearings and they seem to have absolutely no accountability, no remorse, no regret, no empathy. We see it over and over and over again. She was driving the car intoxicated. This was her passenger. That means it was her friend. Did you hear her mention any remorse? Any guilt? The only time that she showed emotion in her voice when her voice cracked was when she had the audacity and the deathness, if that's a word, of saying, I just want my life back. She knows they tell her ahead of time that his father's going to be watching the parole hearing. How can you even utter those words? I just want my life back. And to add insult to injury in the entire process, the idea that even a board member would want to grant is that we're talking about 3 months. 3 months. What? I mean, again, some sense of humanity. You would say, you know what? It's going to cause pain to the victim's parents. I can understand it. I'll just wait it out for 3 months. There's nothing there. And then even that one parole board member would say, let me grant. There's the father of his son who is no longer alive because of what she did. In his statement, he says, hey, if Connecticut would have been a little bit more strict on her first DUI, which, by the way, she had when she was under the age, is my understanding, and she got a 6-month probated sentence, that maybe he would still be alive. And then the parole board member would just completely disregard that to give this despicable, like, she had a despicable interview. It was a terrible interview. Why would you give her 3 months bonus? Just say no. You want to cause more pain? You want to re-victimize the father and their entire family when they hear about it?
It's sick. You cannot make this stuff up. And then you hear about at the end of the hearing, when all of a sudden it's pulled out of the blue that she had multiple write-ups. Forget the pot write-up, which we'll get into in a second, but they said that she refused to take medication, and then she also was caught with diazepam, right? I mean, are you kidding me? That's not something you should bring up? That's not dangerous? What? I mean, just to start off with that, she tells the interviewer before the parole hearing, the pre-investigation interview, she says, I shouldn't have driven. They made me drive. And all I was doing was trying to pull around a vehicle. And then I got into the accident. And then when the parole board brings that up to her, she says, oh, that was a long time ago. I don't think that way anymore. And they say, well, that was a month ago. That was a month ago. And she was very manipulative. The father of the victim, of the deceased, is right. If I had to listen to this hearing 3 times. She was very skillful at maneuvering away from any type of pressure that the board was giving, which wasn't a lot. I'm not impressed by the board's tactics. She tested positive for cocaine in her system, which she says was the night before. This accident happened Sunday night at 11 at night. Is it possible that she did it Saturday night and not Sunday? Yeah. Would I believe her? I don't know why I would believe her. What is strange is that they said it did take 6 months for them to arrest her. I don't know why it would take 6 months, but it did. And she was out partying, like the father had said, taking pictures in Halloween. And that's something we've seen on other homicide, vehicular homicide cases, not in these parole hearings, but in other true crime stuff. And then she does, right before a hearing, gets dressed up again and has a toast, which they assume was espresso. But either way, it's like, again, it's throwing complete callousness at the idea of what you had done. And then she shows up to her parole hearing without any mention of going to AA or NA, which I mean is like, is it that we're so accustomed to Louisiana Styles, to Mr. Program's Marabella? Or is it, I think that that's something that actually should be a given. She has a substance abuse problem. I'm not going to be dramatic about it. She does. This is her second DUI, and she took a life. When she gets out into the new world, what is going to stop her? And then there's so many things I want to bring up here, but it blows my mind that in the state of Connecticut, while you're still under the I can never say that word, the control of the Connecticut DOC, Department of Corrections, that you could get a prescription for marijuana. I mean, that just, look, I am not a, I think marijuana should be legal. I think it's just like alcohol in terms of all the risks or not risks or whatever, and probably not as bad as alcohol. But why would you have it prescribed in prison? That just makes no sense. I mean, come on. I mean, how many people know this? I couldn't believe it when I heard it. I mean, is it just a legal thing? As soon as you say that it's legal as a medical narcotic that then it can be given to. I don't buy that. I mean, and it sounds like it's something that it's just so bizarre. And then she has the audacity to lie to the board and say, yeah, I only use it once a week when my whatever acts up. And it's like, that's just BS. You know, you're just making a mockery of the entire system. It's just it's ridiculous. But I get the idea that you could prescribe someone under DOC marijuana. I don't understand that. It's bizarre. That's all I can say. I don't. And her entire sentence. Thank you, Richard, for pulling up all this stuff. Was 7 years. It was like 17 years or 16 years, but all of it was suspended except for the 17. And I guess the only good note is that she hasn't been paroled up until now. At least she served her full 7 years. Just the other day, there was a man who had a similar case. All he got was 5 years and parole after 2.5 years. Although it was, there's some technicality differences which might have had something to do with it. I don't know if you're as frustrated or angry as me about this, but what else was when they're deliberating, in my opinion, she shows absolutely no respect. She was talking. I don't know if you saw her. You couldn't hear her, but she was talking while they're deliberating. She's talking to the person next to her. And then while they're deliberating, she gets all sad and teary-eyed. And it's like, it's 3 months. Well, I don't even know why they would put the victims through this. There should be rules around this, keeping victims in mind. And also what I was just annoyed by was whenever someone brings up like the dog aspect, training animals, and you're so great that you're training support dogs. You're such a good person. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, wouldn't that be just the dream job to have in prison? Wouldn't that be a position that everyone would be fighting to have? I could not think of of anything better that I could do with my time if I was locked up than to train puppies. So don't give someone props for that. The only thing they should get props for is the idea that they have to give that puppy away. Yes, that would hurt, but it's worth it. And I don't even know you get props for that, because what's the alternative? And so that's beyond me. That's I do not like. It's just bizarre. Let's go over who that board member is. If you want to, we've done this once before, but we'll do it again. So he, it'll take us a while to get to understand who these board members are, but I am just not impressed with the idea that he would actually grant. It's insane. Mr. Paul was appointed as the Connecticut Board of Pardon and Parole's full-time member in May 2019. Prior to his appointment to the board, he was a certified teacher. He taught the 8th grade United States history, which is my favorite subject, at middle school in Manchester, 2009 to 2019. He earned his degree in Manchester Community College and also performed a graduate work at Eastern Connecticut University. So he's a middle school history teacher. And I would say, okay, that's better than being a physical therapist like Mr. Kelsey in Louisiana, but what? But now he does have other things. So Mr. Paul was appointed in 1986. So this is a long time ago, 30 36 years ago, to Connecticut Alcohol and Drug Abuse Commission by Governor Williams due to his experience and knowledge in the prevention and treatment of alcohol. And you would think someone like that would actually deny her and say, dude, you have to be like an AA or something. While CADAC Commissioner Mr. Paul interacted with the many community-based treatment programs, as well as many Connecticut Department of Correction Addiction Service programs. Mr. Paul is the Executive Director of Pathfinders Associate in Manchester, where he began his own personal recovery. There you go. Look, so he began his own. We went through this before, right? Now it's coming back to me. His own personal recovery from addiction in 1984. For the past 35 years, Mr. Paul has worked with many people seeking recovery. In most recent years, the people seeking recovery from opioid. Mr. Paul has been in the justice and peace for 25 years. So someone like that who seems to not be naive to it, to literally let someone out of prison who has 2 DUIs, taking a life, and shows up with a prescription for marijuana. And I believe it was a write-up for diazepam just the past month or so, with zero strategy or plan about her sobriety when she gets out, except her saying, I don't want anything to do with it, is bizarre to me. But I feel like there's 100 more things that I can go talk about, but about how ridiculous this hearing was. Thank you, Richard, for the info. There was, in terms of the actual crime, so she was driving 70 miles an hour on the highway. She was in a Ford F-150, and there was a smaller Ford, I forget which model, maybe Escape, in front of her. She tried to pass it, and the car also was in the turning lane, so she hit the back of that car and veered off through the middle divider, and then all the way into the opposite lane, and the passenger was declared killed dead at the scene. And there was another man in the back who was really hurt, and she was also really hurt. It doesn't go into the details of how badly hurt. It seems from this that maybe she was pretty severely hurt. Why they arrested her 6 months later, I couldn't get any clarity on that. But not in the hospital after they tested her. But there you have it. And with that,